Welcome to the Trailchasers podcast.
This episode is presented by Nexen Tire. We love the Roadie MTX tires, and we're super happy with the way they perform. They perform great on the road, and they're absolute beasts off-road. Go to nexentireusa.com and get a set for your rig. And this show is also brought to you by Icon Vehicle Dynamics. The Icon team takes a holistic approach to their products to ensure that all of the components work together and you get the most out of your vehicle. If you want to take your vehicle to the next level, go check out what they've got for your rig at iconvehicledynamics.com.
Today on the show, we talk to Atumn Nyiri. She's an associate curator at the Peterson Museum here in LA. She tells us about their new extreme conditions exhibit containing various legendary off-road builds. I then had to fend off multiple attempts for them to try and acquire the Frontier for this exhibit. It wasn't easy. And guess what? Jose's back. What's up, Jose?
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to be back in the studio. And I didn't come empty-handed. I actually have the vaccine ready to go. It just needs to be administered in a certain way.
And the only reason Peterson wanted the Frontier is because there's a bunch of garbage in back they need to unload. Everybody, it is 6:30 on a Monday night. It is
on the dot.
On the dot.
Good
6:30 on the dot. It's
today.
funny how
we did it.
It's funny how we have to go out of our way to point that out anytime it happens, where we actually show up at 6:30. It is the December 28th. It is the Monday after Christmas. I hope everybody had a good solid holiday. And on the big screen in the studio, we have Atumn Nyiri with us from the Peterson Automobile Museum. How are you doing tonight, Atumn?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
We're doing good. We're doing much better than you because someone talked you into doing this interview, and I'm pretty sure within a short period of time, you're going to regret this.
Time will tell.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We were kind of having a little bit of conversation before we started where we were talking about how the Peterson Auto Museum is in LA. It's an hour away from where I live. It's an hour away of where I've lived my entire life.
Well, it's an hour away if there's no traffic. Like at Sunday night, 3 in the morning. It's an hour away.
Actually, you're already starting to hit that Monday morning.
Yeah. Okay, so
exactly. It's I don't know. I bring a lunch with you if you're going to make that trek.
Yeah,
it might. You never know.
It's maybe 50 miles away from my house, which means it'll take 2.5 days to get there
right.
From Southern California. Plan an extra day vacation. And I've never been. I've never been to the museum, and I'm super bummed to admit that. But I think there's a lot of us in that situation that have heard of it and
Dude,
want to go.
I've driven by it.
Oh, really? It is not gone?
It's completely unacceptable for all of you that have not been there.
I get it.
Thank you for admitting your fault.
Yeah, we're horrible.
Yeah, well, as we talked about earlier, I have a lot of faults. Most will be pointed out before the evening is over. Before we go down the Peterson route, let's learn a little bit about you. Tell me about how one becomes an associate curator at the Peterson Museum and what you did leading up to this.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Southern California, LA County, but I went to New York City. I went to Columbia for graduate school in museum anthropology. So I knew I wanted to work in a museum and tell stories. That's what museums are about. You know, they're about the objects, but mostly they're about telling stories to people, sharing history, sharing the present in a new way. And so I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I worked at a history museum in New York City for 16 years.
Oh, wow.
So at that point, I realized I had spent more of my adult life in New York and that was starting to make me officially a New Yorker. So I hightailed it back to California.
Oh, wow.
And
is it the 17th year when you become a New Yorker?
Job at the Peterson.
Yeah. How many years in New York does it take before you get that accent and the attitude?
At 17?
That attitude happens pretty quickly because it's remarkably easy to slip into. You start talking like it after about a decade.
Oh, wow. We were literally just having the conversation when we were eating dinner earlier about New York and about living there. Would you ever live there? And I would live there.
I think everyone should live there for at least a year. It's visiting, you don't get it. You got to live there. It's a crazy place to be. It's amazing in a lot of ways.
Well, and we were talking about how I've been in New York 3 times, I think, and we were talking about how, like, in New York, you're like, hey, I'm going to get off the subway and I'm going to go see that thing, and it's 3 miles away. Whatever, it's not that big a deal. We're just going to walk to it. I won't walk a half a mile to 7-Eleven right now. Like, if to get to the 7-Eleven, there's an El Pollo Loco. I could throw a rock and hit El Pollo Loco from my house. Ain't no way in hell I'm walking there.
You couldn't hit that with a rock.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Back in
I've seen you throw it.
Back in my 20s when I actually had a functioning arm, I could.
Yeah, I was excited to get back to car life. You don't want a car in New York. Like, that's just a stupid idea. All you do to drive it is to park it on opposite sides of the street so they can sweep the streets. So no one has a car in New York, but public transportation can be a pain. So I was back in LA. I came back to LA. I moved in with my mom for about a month before I got the job at the Peterson. And the first thing I did was buy a car. I had a car within a week.
Wow. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very nice. So how do you go from, because I don't know which history museum you're at in New York, but I've been to a couple of them out there and they're amazing. How do you go from telling stories about history in general to telling stories about cars?
Well, in a lot of ways, the objects are different and larger, and there are fewer of them in a gallery, but the history story is still there. It's still, you suss out the same kind of human interest story. It's really the same business, just with a different medium. But in a lot of ways, I was looking for something new. History museums are wonderful. I love them. But it's a lot of old documents, old photographs. And here was something big and shiny and something that's so pervasive in American culture, particularly in Southern California culture. It was really alluring, and it was an opportunity to do something different, sort of a mid point in my career. I was able to totally change directions, and that was really interesting for me.
And you being a Southern California native and then leaving to New York, so you grew up in the car culture, and then you go to New York where it's not as much of a thing. I would bet when you come back, it provides a level of appreciation for it that is a little bit different than someone that's just either never experienced it or never left it.
Right. Definitely, I appreciate it. It took me a good 15 minutes on the road to hate the traffic all over again and feel like I've never been not in traffic. But driving shaped the city. It shaped the way we have our stores, our restaurants, our roads, our buildings, the way towns are formed are all part of car culture. And you learn to love, the city you grow up in, and you start to see it with different eyes and realize how shaped it is by cars.
And you're right. When you start looking at car history, that actually plays into the history of our society, of our development, of how we so many things in our lives are around the car culture, not just the car itself. It's drive-throughs. Like, is there drive-throughs in New York? I don't know that I ever saw a drive-through in New York.
In the outer boroughs where people have cars more, but not in Manhattan, no.
Yeah. So, I mean,
there are no drive-thrus in Manhattan.
That's something I didn't even think about. Like, that's just normal part of life
here. Yeah. For us, if you go someplace and it's not a drive-through, you're like, this is BS. What
I'm not getting out of my car.
Exactly.
I can't afford that place.
We went, yeah, I can't afford that. We were looking for a Starbucks or whatever. We pulled up to one and it wasn't a drive-through. And we were like, man, are we going to get out of the car and like, this is ridiculous. I'll find another one. That's how bad we are. That's how.
Yeah, no, it's completely different in New York. In Manhattan, the McDonald's is the first floor of a skyscraper.
Yes.
It's not
That's
what
weird.
you expect.
That is weird.
Yes. It's a very, very weird, different culture. And I won't say weird, but just like going back to the conversation before we started recording about would you be able to live there? I made the comment that yes, but you would have to go into it knowing you're not living in Southern California. Like you're not going to, you're not going to, New York's not going to conform into what you're used to living. You have to conform into what New York has. Yeah. But it's
Absolutely.
super cool. And that's interesting that, I mean, it's very exciting that you did that you took that adventure. Like, were you always an adventurous person and, you know, hey, I'm going to go across the country from my family, or was that a scary thing?
It was a scary thing, but I just did it. Columbia is a great university, Ivy League school. So you get accepted, you go.
Yeah.
But I just
I
packed
wouldn't
up
know.
in a U-Haul.
I wouldn't know
Packed up in
that.
a U-Haul and drove across the country. And I think I got more adventurous after I took that first big step. Then it was like, oh, being adventurous is actually okay. And I started doing more adventurous things. But coming home was pastime, and it feels great to be back.
I've done the U-Haul thing across the country, and it is it's pretty exciting, really, to see like our country's vast, and there's different terrain, and you know, like I remember driving through Alabama, and the forest was
Why?
because I had to go through there to get to California.
You can't go around. There's no other route.
I'll tell you what, it was probably 100 miles of rolling hills. I think it was on the 40, and it was just beautiful. It was so scenic. Then you get into Texas, and it was 3 days of just
3 days of
nothing.
Texas?
Dude, Texas is huge. If you look at Texas on a map, that is not correct. Yeah. Texas is like 4 United States. It's so, I'm sorry, Texas. There's nothing there. There's nothing of interest at all.
Even the people in Texas aren't interested in being in Texas.
The 3 days you got to drive through Texas it seems like 3 weeks, you know. But
took the northern route to bypass Texas completely.
Yeah, see, she's smart. Yeah.
Isn't there a route that goes to
time.
like Colorado, right? Like,
yeah, go through the mountains and that kind of stuff. Like,
I was pulling a trailer and I was 18 at the time, so it was like, I didn't have.
You had the old Thomas guide, huh?
Oh God, yeah. I had a Thomas guide, and I was driving my mom's 5-speed with a trailer on the back. That was coming down from Kingman, Arizona. That was quite. My mom probably will still give me shit about that. So anyhow,
did you run out of gas?
I hate you. Anyhow, no, we did not.
Matt has a tendency to run out of gas in Kingman, Arizona.
Got it.
So after your adventurous New York 17 years, which seems like a lifetime, and then you come back, you land the job at Peterson. Tell me about Peterson. I mean, I know it's the automotive museum based on, you know, Peterson magazine and all the Peterson publishing and all that stuff. Right. But what's the history of the Peterson Museum? And was any of that part of what drew you to it?
So the museum was founded, like you said, by Robert E. Peterson and his wife, Margie. And Robert Peterson had a publishing company, Peterson Publishing, and they were responsible for a variety of automotive magazines like Hot Rod, Motor Trend. The big names in magazines were all Peterson, automotive magazines were all Peterson products. But he always really wanted to build a museum as a place to educate people on the history of the automobile and to celebrate its artistry and the industry, and specifically its impact on culture, especially Southern California culture. So the museum opened in 1994 at our current site at 6060 Wilshire in what was an Orbox department store. And they revamped it a little to make it more suitable for a museum. But the Peterson that people know today is in 2015, we underwent a $125 million renovation with the complete redo of the interior galleries, but most notably the exterior, which now has these insane metal ribbons surrounding the building. And you see it from anywhere on Wilshire or Fairfax. When you're approaching the museum, you know you're at the right place. So it's a pretty impressive building. But I actually didn't know anything about it before I came back to California and started poking around museums to see where I'd like to apply for a job. I'd never been to the Peterson, and I didn't know anything about it. So I just did a little research and then went down to meet with the director of exhibitions and really, really liked it and liked the vibe.
I was going to say, I've been in construction for almost 25 years, and working out in that area, I remember back in the 90s, like late 90s, early 2000s, like, oh, that's that Peterson Museum. And it reminded me of like a department store, like the facade outside. And then I drove by it probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, obviously post, renovation. And I went, what happened to the Peterson Museum? It was right here. And they replaced it with some modern art thing. Yeah, I didn't realize that it was still the same place. But yeah, it is really crazy looking.
It's crazy looking. The ribbons sort of represent speed and motion, and they give you that feeling of like forward thinking, forward moving. It's an insane building. When it was the Orbox department store, they actually chose that as the site for a museum because it didn't have any windows. So it would be safe for objects. So they chose a pretty bland looking building, and it still doesn't have any windows, but it's got a really cool look.
And Peterson does, like, the museum itself is focused on, you mentioned car culture and how it shapes everything, but it's not just cool cars. It's like, we'll talk about the exhibit that you've curated, but it's like they've done exhibits about
themes.
Yeah, too. Exhibits for movies, cars that have been in movies, prototypes, the prototype vehicles that never actually make it places. I mean, it's more than just a catalog of cars.
But they also show like the progression, I think, of like the design or the aesthetics throughout history, like, and you can see how curvy cars were back in the 30s compared to the 1920s and see it evolve, to modern day.
Yeah. I think the next exhibit needs to be like the evolution of the Toyota Camry. just like, so everyone, yeah, exactly. Just
go
like,
on.
Think about what's the most popular car in the world. It's like the Camry or Corolla or one of those. And like, it's not something you would see in a museum. So if they had like 40 of them lined up, that one for every model year, that'd be an interesting evolution of vehicles. No?
I'll make sure to get that on our exhibition.
Please don't listen to him.
No, because I don't want the hate mail. I don't want the.
I'm in for a Toyota, like history of Toyota.
History of Toyota, yeah,
sure.
So Peterson, they've got their hand in a little bit of everything, and you specifically came on board. You said about a year ago, and started working on a project. Tell me about this project.
Well, so this is the second project I worked on. The first project actually it's called Reclaimed Rust, and it's the James Hetfield collection.
Oh.
And it's 10 cars that James Hetfield of Metallica fame had created, and they're gorgeous pieces of machinery. And I did an exhibition on that, but those were all cars in our collection. So it was an easier task. Really, it was just researching the cars and writing about them. But this exhibition, Extreme Conditions, is the first one where I had to go out and locate the kind of vehicles I wanted and do my research and really put together the show from scratch and try to tell a story and find the correct vehicles to do that.
Just quickly back to the James Hetfield. Does he donate all those cars?
He donated 10 cars to us, yes.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Good for him.
Man.
Must be nice.
I was just going to say.
You'd see that at the Peterson Automotive Museum.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'd like to donate my Ford Ranger, but I'm going to need someone to give me a ride to work.
Nobody wants to see that Ranger.
Oh, don't worry, we'll talk about that. So the extreme conditions expedition. Tell me, like, where did the idea for that come from? Like, so from just any exhibit as a curator, like, where do the ideas come from, and then how does that progress into me walking in and being able to see it?
Well, it starts from a lot of places. We have a curatorial team. We discuss ideas. You think about things you haven't done or haven't done in a while. You want something on view in the museum, as many different types of shows as possible, so that there's something for everyone. The museum did an exhibition on the Baja 1000 back in 2013, but we hadn't done anything on the off-road world since. And so we sort of realized the untapped potential there of reaching an audience that we maybe hadn't reached out to in a while, and a whole new array of vehicles that we could showcase that aren't the typical sort of vehicles that you'd see at the Peterson. And then the way this particular exhibition came together, we knew we were going to do something on off-roading, but there are plenty of cars and SUVs, trucks on the market today that are off-road capable. There are specialty vehicles like dune buggies, ATVs, UTVs that are specifically designed for off-roading, but we took this in a sort of different direction. The gallery that the exhibition is in our customs gallery. So we decided to focus on road-going production vehicles that have all been modified to make them off-road capable.
Okay.
So it's a sort of different take. It's not just any off-road vehicle, that comes that way. This explores the modifications that people make to their vehicles to get off-road use out of them for a variety of purposes.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that I didn't get a phone call to feature the Ford.
Please.
My Ford Ranger
Don't
is
get me
the
started.
single most
I was just
capable
about to start
off-road
railing
vehicle.
on how many mods you had to do to make that thing capable. And then I was also going to ask, so clearly there's like at least a floor of Nissan Frontiers that are highlighted and they got lights shining on them. It's on a turntable. Like, no.
The Frontier is the single most capable vehicle in the exhibit.
Yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say
It was
no.
able to drive up onto the turntable that it spins on. So,
And
yes.
Autumn's going down the list of vehicles
Yeah, it's
available,
like,
and she's like,
what's a
nope,
Frontier?
Nope, nope.
I can almost guarantee though, there has to be at least a Land Cruiser of some sort in the museum, right?
In the museum?
And the Toyota,
Yeah, I'm sure. There's 350 vehicles in our museum, so
Wow.
we've got
And not
some
one
of
Nissan
everything.
Frontier.
Not yet. Tip of the
What's funny
spear,
is
baby.
I do not believe we have a Nissan Frontier. You are correct about that.
That's
The worst part is we all laughed because it was funny, right?
What's cool about that though is that so just like we were talking to Overland Flagstaff about how this gives you an opportunity about how people can see their truck built out in different ways. This is just another avenue where people can go down, see the trucks that are on display. I'm like, that's a cool mod.
Yeah,
that I would wanna
go
do.
look at those vehicles. Now, the vehicles that are featured, are they of historical significance or more of a demonstration of how people modify vehicles for off-road use?
There's some of both. There are certain cars. The exhibition's divided into 3 sections. The first one being racing, and they're primarily Baja vehicles. And we really wanted to show the breadth of vehicle types that could be modified to race this race. And there are some seriously significant vehicles within that section, as well as vehicles that are more designed just to show people the kind of modifications that they themselves could make for recreation, or utilitarian modifications that can be made to make things like agriculture or driving in the snow, things like that are practical.
Don't drive in the
feature
snow.
some of those modifications as well.
Don't drive in the snow. Nobody ever drive in the snow. It's a bad idea.
Well, we've got a vehicle, a forward-controlled Jeep that features Matrax, which is the tire conversion, and those can handle snow.
Is it the blue one?
Is it a blue one?
It's green, lime green.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Jose and I are thinking about the same one. There's a Jeep FC with those tracks on it that's blue that's made its rounds a little bit. It's the beautiful vehicle.
Well, our motto is snow on the ground. Turn around.
Yeah.
You don't want any part of that. Go back home.
Yeah,
Watch some movies.
Born and raised in Southern California. We go to the desert. Snow is bad.
Right.
So how does that work when you take the lead on this and you start putting this list together? What criteria did you use to identify the types of vehicles that you wanted for this show?
So that came a lot of just doing general research on off-roading and on the off-roading history, which for me was very new. I had no experience with off-roading or the history of it. We knew that racing would be a big component. So looking at key vehicles that had competed in Baja or vehicles that you wouldn't expect to see. We've got Snorton Norton, which is a Chevy Nova that raced the Baja.
Wow.
We've got a Desert Flyer as a Porsche 911. We have a Triumph TR3, which was one of the original 68 vehicles in the first Baja 1000 race in 1967.
Wow.
So sort of you see pictures, you look through books, and some of these sort of jump out to you as like, this is a crazy vehicle, or this was important at the time, and I want to include those. And then I just started looking at other modifications that were made to vehicles and what I wanted to share with people. So for the recreation section, we've got a 1966 Land Rover with a Doormobile conversion, which basically has the pop top for fold-out sleeping cots, a stove, a sink, a wardrobe built in. And that's something that overlanding is huge today. And
giant.
so that was a way to show people, look, there's a history to this.
Mm-hmm.
this
So we can tell the overlanders they're not doing anything new. People have been doing this since 1960 something. Quit being all snooty and snobby about it.
Yeah, dude. VW was putting those pop top buses in the 60s.
You ain't special, millennial.
The Land Rover, the 66 Land Rover that we got was actually driven straight from the factory where they did the Doormobile conversion and driven to Africa for a big game hunting expedition. So
Wow.
that was some pretty serious overlanding pretty early on.
So then you look through the books and you see, I got to have this Porsche 911 that competed in Baja. How do you convince people to give them to you? Because that's the part. How long did it take to say, okay, how many vehicles are in your specific exhibit?
12.
So how do you start curating? I mean, how do you start gathering those 12 vehicles? I would expect that the researching to find out who owns them, where they're at, then the logistics of whether or not they're going to loan them to you, and then how do you get them shipped? Walk me through that, because that just seems like as a project manager, that seems like a lot of work.
So it helps when you say you're calling from the Peterson Museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
As opposed to the Podunk Auto Museum. No offense to Podunk if they in fact have an auto museum.
So we're gonna try that next time. We're gonna call from the Trailchasers Auto Museum.
We did make it to the Podunk Museum, and it's not that bad.
Yeah. The Peterson is a well-respected name. It's one of the biggest automotive museums in the world. So the museum already had a lot of connections to car collectors who know other people. So there was some inroads that way, but a lot of it was Googling people's Googling people's names, saw who drove this vehicle, who owned this vehicle. You Google them, you find their Facebook, and you reach out. And for the most part, people are happy to participate. They love these cars, and they put a lot of work into them, and they want to show them off.
Oh, yeah.
And so the idea that it gets some legitimacy from being in a museum exhibition. I mean, you're saying to someone, your car matters, what you did to this vehicle matters, and people want to see it. And that's the ultimate compliment.
That's
you're right. You've convinced me. I'm willing to donate the Frontier for a few weeks or whatever. No problem.
When she puts together the broke jalopy exhibit, she'll reach out and let you know. Or the exhibit
I'll be done with it then.
Yeah,
so
or the exhibit of vehicles that haven't had the interior cleaned in 12 months. Here you go.
That's not true.
It's 24 months.
I've owned that truck for 2 years now.
So there are a lot of logistics. We have our registrar, Jennifer Yates, organizes all the loans, the insurance, wall to wall. We're responsible for that thing as soon as it leaves someone's house. These vehicles are worth a lot of money. And we insure them. We take excellent care of them. They travel in covered, they're not just on some open car transporter. These are, fine art and specialty automotive shippers that brought the vehicles to us from all over the country.
Wow. So the vehicles make their way in. You guys, I'm sure it's more than just parking vehicles in a parking lot. There's so many other things that go into the exhibit, like the backgrounds and like you said, the write-ups and the history. How many people on the team participate in building that exhibit with you?
Well, we have a graphics design team who sort of does the background graphics, chooses images, lays out the type. we sort of featured an image for each section, a desert race image, a recreational sort of mountainy hillside image, and a like logging forest to show the three themes of racing, recreation, and utility. And they get those images, they do a layout. Our director of exhibitions helps me plan where the cars are going to go, which is partly to organize them for what makes sense with the themes of the show, but also logistical. You know, we've got structural pillars that cars have to fit around. So it's a lot of maneuvering and playing in InDesign with little, you know, placeholders to see what car fits where. And then it's visual. It's what two cars look super cool together, and, you know, the colors and things like that. So there's a team of about 4 or 5 people that are actively involved in planning these out. And we have guys that move these cars with the utmost care to get them into place. We don't just drive them in and put them in park. You know, these things are treated like priceless objects.
Well, see, so that would go back to the benefit of featuring the Nissan Frontier. You just drive it into the pillar, and now it's a better exhibit than when it showed up.
Now it's an art installation.
It'd be showing off the pillar in a better light.
Yeah, this pillar is built really well because it just demolished that Frontier.
I have no comment.
So you had mentioned earlier that the off-road world was new to you. So coming into this, you had little to no off-road experience, right?
None to speak of.
So after researching these vehicles,
That's what I was gonna ask.
It's like
right now.
So as you've researched these vehicles, you've gotten the history behind them. You kind of
learn the lifestyle behind it.
Yeah. What's your outsider's take on the whole thing, the off-road lifestyle, the modified vehicles? Like, did it teach you anything or give you any perspective you didn't have before?
I think that there's a lot of camaraderie in the off-road world, is what I learned. These people know each other. They're happy to give you the name of someone else they think you should talk to, happy to give you their number. They really know each other and know the races well, and will tell you, yeah, that's a great vehicle, but did you think about this one? Usually, like, did you think about mine?
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mass Frontier's great, but you don't want it. It stinks.
You don't want that one.
I got a Ford Ranger for you.
After mine. I was really impressed with the openness with which people especially in the racing community, were willing to talk to me about the history, talk to me about their vehicles, other important vehicles, and really embraced me. I had some great people along the way that it's unique. You know, we have another exhibition up on supercars, and those tend to be singular owners of very exotic, you know, rich cars. I don't think they all hang out together at some fancy place. Whereas with the off-road world, you get the sense that they do meet up at these events. And so they know each other and they see each other and they're happy to share their knowledge. And I was really grateful because I needed the help.
And I think that's an extension of so you know, let's assume that a lot of these vehicles are retired, right? And they're for shows, but I think that's just an extension of the life of the off-road vehicle. So, you know, going back to sharing and helping and stuff, if these guys were racers at the Baja, they would have helped, their pits would have helped each other if they broke down and done something. One of the things about the off-road community that we love is that you never drive by a vehicle that's parked without rolling down the window and saying, "Are you guys good? Do you need anything?" Like that's just part of the community. And it rings true to me that you would find that experience when you're reaching out to people about these vehicles, even though they're retired and collected or whatever. It's just ingrained in what the off-road community is.
Yeah. And although many of the vehicles are not retired, we were lucky. I hate to say lucky. You know, the coronavirus canceled a lot of events this year. And so we were able to obtain some of these vehicles that are still actively racing. Because of that, we were able to get them. But another thing, you know, that I discovered, when you're modifying these vehicles, you can just keep modifying them and keep them running.
Yeah.
So a lot of these ones that you would think have to be retired, they're not necessarily retired. Our 1970 Chevy Nova raced in the mid 80s in the vintage class, eventually ended up in a Louisiana bayou somewhere. Someone recognized it as the Snorton Norton, brought it back to life, and it's racing Baja in 2012 and 2013 again.
What?
So
Oh,
yeah, it's an amazing vehicle. You
that's-
really got to check it out.
but that's a great thing that you just said. These vehicles have like stories to tell. You know, they have individual accomplishments, you know, or and through their builds even, you know, maybe at first they competed in you know, like an amateur class or whatever, and then later on somebody got the bug and just I gotta drop another $100,000 in this so I can do Baja or whatever. But I think that's pretty special.
Well, and going back to our conversation with Kevin Jones, an Ultra 4 racer, his vehicle is a legacy retired original Ultra 4 that he's putting life back into. I mean, these vehicles, to your point, can be modified and lived on forever. There might not be much left of it from the original, but the legacy is there, right? And I'd never heard of the Snorton Norton, but when I pulled up pictures of it, I know I remember this vehicle, this Chevy Nova, yellow and blue and white. It's super cool. So I that's crazy that thing is still around.
Yeah, and that was part of what we wanted to do. You know, the show is geared to a general audience, people that come in. If you don't know much about off-roading, you can read the text, you'll get the gist of what we're talking about with modifications. But we also wanted to pepper it with these really special vehicles that if you're an off-road aficionado, you'll be surprised to see or pleased to see and say, like, I remember that, or I've heard about that one, or, you know, I always wanted to see that one. There's some of those in there too for the people that know the off-road history.
So as you've learned about this off-road history and you are experiencing the lifestyle from the outside, are you ready? Are you ready to go?
Am I ready? I would love it. I don't know. I'm not. My driving is standard.
Okay, look, it can't be worse than that.
I don't know what it takes to drive an off-road vehicle, but I mean, I would be thrilled to ride it.
I have 2 broken ankles and a broken shoulder, and I can do it. So I'm pretty much my 4-year-old could probably do it better than me. I'm sure that she's 5 now. I'm sure that you'd be fine. Like, we need to get you out on the trail.
It sounds amazing. I would love it. I just love seeing videos of it. It's just amazing. And the different types of environments, you know, people that are doing it in the desert, and then you have mudding, you've got green laning, you've got mountainous driving through the forest, gravel, snow, rock, water, whatever. It's like there's no environment on this earth that someone hasn't tried to tackle with an off-road vehicle. And I just think that's amazing.
You forgot to mention barreling across the desert with your cooler and all kinds of stuff flying out of the bed of your truck. That's a lot of fun. That's
okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put Autumn in Matt's truck.
Don't put her in my truck. I want her to like it. I want her to enjoy herself.
And we're going to go do the Kessel Run, and then she will sue us for the disaster.
Either that or she'll be buying a Frontier the next day.
She's going to go to work on Monday and be like, we have to do a Frontier exhibit. So the background there is, you're right. You could there's 1,000 different terrains, and you can build specialty vehicles for every single one of them. The 3 of us actually daily drive our off-road vehicles, so it's very multi-purpose. Get us to work and back, go tackle some terrain and have some fun. And for us, that adventure has always been like pushing the vehicle a little bit farther than it can go and going out and exploring things that we don't see on a regular basis. And it's not extreme rock crawling, but man, we have a lot of fun doing it. And in some cases, we try to keep up with the Baja pace. And it, as Matt alluded to, ice chests, coolers,
toilet paper.
Toilet paper start flying out the back end of the truck, and someone's got to stop and pick all that stuff up.
That's what Joey D is for, because he's usually trying to keep up with me, and thankfully he's right there to help me gather my debris,
pick up your Tupperware, all that stuff.
My busted Tupperware.
So yeah, it's It is, in all seriousness, open invitation. We'd love to have you come out on a trip with us. We just came back from Arizona for 3 days of wheeling, and that was a good time. But we do, I mean, being a Southern California native,
Right.
you've got, with wherever you live, within an hour, you've got terrain in all four directions that is just, even if you just did the, here's a
If she
tip.
lived in Long Beach, she couldn't go like west. I'm just saying.
Because you can't drive on the
Can't do
beaches
4.
anymore.
Oh, well.
You
all
can
right.
drive on the beach if they let you. I mean, she may get
I was being a
arrested
smart
doing
ass.
it, but she could do it.
I was being a smart ass. I didn't expect you
yeah.
to like comment on it. And
So
Like, well, you could take the
I didn't
beach
expect-
trails.
yeah. So here's
Correct
a pro tip, and you didn't hear that from us. You can rent a 4-wheel drive Jeep Wrangler at any enterprise, and a stock 4-wheel drive Wrangler is very, very capable of hitting some of the most some generally fun trails. Cleghorn Trail's a
you
good
would shock
one.
yourself. You would shock. I can't believe
Santiago Peak.
Yeah, I can't believe I just took this Jeep up this
Yeah.
thing, whatever it is.
So just you can rent it for the day. We'll take you for a ride. We'll wash it really good, and then we'll take it back.
That sounds amazing.
So that's the
I will
key.
take you up
The
on
key is washing it really good before you
Yeah.
take it back. And they're like, "Did you
I got a power washer.
did you detail this? I don't know what you're talking about."
Yeah, I'm returning it like I got it.
Yeah. And I've told the story.
Wasn't there a bumper on back here?
Yeah, I've told this.
No.
I've told the story where years ago, 3 of my buddies went to Enterprise, rented 4-wheel drive vehicles, and we did the Mojave Trail from Laughlin all the way to Barstow in a rented Jeep Wrangler, a Jeep Liberty, a Dodge Nitro, and a Jeep Grand Cherokee. So we could do that.
Those poor vehicles.
I know that. Yeah, they'll never be the same again. So I'm assuming you don't currently drive a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
I drive a Jetta.
Okay, that's not a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Although Jettas are cool.
It could be maybe all-wheel drive.
It could be.
They don't make all-wheel drive Jettas.
No,
All right,
not the
thanks,
Jetta.
Jose, the encyclopedia of vehicles.
That was a VW guy for a long time.
At any point, have you considered it after this? Were you like, wow, it'd be cool to have one of those?
Like I definitely would want it for like a weekend driving thing. When I see these like huge vehicles or like these huge tires on the streets of LA, like I live in Koreatown, and I'm just like, how do you ever find a place to park that thing? Like it just seems so impractical. As much as a car is impractical in New York, like some of these vehicles are impractical for downtown LA. So I would want it to take out and about, but not for a daily driver.
Well, that's something that we comment all the time because overlanding is so huge now, especially in Orange County, that you see people driving around in their Toyotas and their rigs with their rooftop tents just every day, that you just make that part of your life. Like, well, I'm going to go to work for the week, and then you just sleep out in your tent. And then, because there's so many of them. And that brings me to my next question. Is the Peterson Museum, can they accommodate all the off-road overland vehicles with all the tents on top? Where are they going to park when they come to the museum to see your exhibit?
That is a valid question. Our parking structure has decent enough height on the ceilings.
Okay.
I think we've got upper levels that are open, so
Okay,
they can definitely find parking up there.
And I'll tell you, those big trucks you see with the big tires driving in LA, they don't live in LA. They live out here in the Inland Empire with us. they live out here with
flat
us.
billers over
yeah, they live out in the desert in the Inland Empire with us, and they drive into LA for work because they have to. They hate it. They don't want to be there, and they turn around and come back and park their big ass trucks in their driveways. That's how that works.
That sounds more like a likely scenario. Yeah.
Yes.
The museum. So we did talk a little bit about how COVID has kind of put a damper on a lot of things, including the museum. How long has the museum been closed?
We closed on March 15th. We were allowed to open again for 1 week in June, and then cases started rising and we were shut down again, and we've been closed ever since. And we're at the mercy of the state, the county, the city as to when we can reopen. We're ready to accommodate visitors again using like online ticketing. We've got hand sanitizing stations everywhere, styluses, so you don't need to touch an elevator button. Like we're ready to go when we do open to make it a safe experience for people, but we're just waiting for the word.
Yeah, and right now there's no expectation for anybody, right, at this point of when that's going to be.
I wouldn't even hazard a guess
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
I was
The exhibition is, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the exhibition's scheduled to be on view through September of 2021. And we may even extend that so that it really gets its full run. So it'll still be around once we're open for people to come see. So I hope they make the trip down to see it because it's really a special show.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm in construction and I work every day at a local hospital, and we just found out today. So where are we on the list? If I'm at this hospital every day, where am I on the list to get the vaccination? You're like third level down below like the, everyday essential, nurses and doctors and what have you. And there was still no specific date. It's just, it's coming.
We'll let
It'll
you know.
happen. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they'll let you know.
Who will let me know? Somebody.
Museum curators are not high on anyone's list.
Neither shipping and receiving.
If we could somehow, this is what you guys need to do: is get the vaccinations, and as people enter the museum, boom!
Yes,
it's
two
like
for
twofer.
one. It's a two for
twofer.
one. Okay, look, this is how marketing works here. This is
Hashtag me.
Hashtag Matt came up with it.
that. All
Hashtag
right.
you can't
Thank
steal
you.
it. Hashtag
Same needle.
Hashtag. So yes, we do a Peterson. We do an extreme. What is it? The extreme conditions and extreme vaccinations.
It comes with the entry.
Yes,
fee into
we
the
do.
museum.
And what we'll
It's that
do
extreme
is
that you need the vaccination.
yeah, we'll do both vaccinations instead of coming back for a
you
month
get
later. We'll just do them both at the
Yeah,
same
you
time.
get one coming in, and then when you're leaving, you get the other one.
One coming out. Look at this. Look at this. We're going to save the world one
You gotta be in
Peterson
the I think you got to be in the
patron at a
museum
time.
for a month, though. But that's fine. It's still good.
Yeah, we don't tell them that part. They have to now live in the exhibit for a month
There's
so they can
overland
get their
vehicles
other
inside.
vaccine.
Yeah, there's tents in there.
There's a Dormobile with a pop-up
Yes,
tent.
exactly.
We all
right
take
there.
turds in the
Nailed
Land
it.
Rover.
Nailed it.
Look, I am super excited about this exhibit, and this is going to be the exhibit that's going to drive me out there to the museum to see
Absolutely.
it. I just wish that, I wish there was a way, I wish we knew when that was going to be, right? But there's no way to your point, there's no way to hazard a guess.
I'm going to say May
Man, you're
10th.
May 10th.
That's depressing.
That's so far out, dude.
I know.
Oh, I thought I was being positive. I'm sorry, guys. I thought I was being
No, it's
positive.
crazy. I've been with the museum for a year, and I've worked from home for most of that year.
Oh, no. So you still have to go in to help design the stuff, and then you come in and work on your teams and then go back in and.
We're pretty much remote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So now that this one is set, there's nothing to tweak at this point. Have you already moved on to the next exhibit, or are you still working on other things with this?
Yeah, we've got other exhibits in the pipeline, so I'm working on those, and we're working on a book of cars from our collection, so I'm working on that. You kind of get it up and then you move on.
Man, I would want to just sit and look at it every day.
I miss it. I do when I do go into the museum. It's sort of like a thing that you put all this work into, and I go pay it a visit.
Yeah.
I pay my exhibitions a visit for sure.
How you doing, guys?
That's the sad thing is I got this great job. I get to work at a really cool museum with all this cool stuff to look at, but I got to work from home. Like, oh man,
You're not helping, dude. You're not helping her in any way.
I am on a
You
bad
are
kick.
just.
What am I doing?
This is
What
the depression
happened?
train. What is going on, bro?
You should have been a doctor, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, the way you deliver bad news.
What does that have to do? I would just be a good doctor because I'm good at delivering.
No,
No, you're horrible. You have
horrible
zero
delivering
bedside
news.
manner.
Oh,
just
thank
like,
God I'm not a doctor.
Yes.
Okay, you confused me.
For more reasons than you can imagine.
Yeah, I don't like blood. I don't like blood. I don't like I get squishy when I see stuff like that.
The exhibit itself, when it does open, you said that right now it's scheduled to stay open or the exhibit is scheduled till September of 21.
September 12th, 21, but it's very likely that we'll extend that farther.
Yeah, so once it opens, we'll have the opportunity to go. Like what I would like to do is when the exhibit reaches, when we think it's going to open, when we get to the point where Peterson is going to open again, we'd like to have you back on at least for a short conversation to talk about it again and try to get people there. If, let's try to fit the last 9 months of patrons into the first weekend. And and then overload the exhibit. We'll do let's do a camp out and barbecue at the Peterson Museum.
Okay.
They won't even know we're there.
Aren't they doing that around the streets of the?
Yeah.
Those are homeless people. Those are called homeless people, Cody. Now who's being negative? Making fun of homeless people out in West LA.
I didn't saying that. I said in the parking lot.
Despicable.
I said parking lot, not on the street. There's a very
You
different.
implied street.
Oh man!
I heard.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
Coming back from that one.
yeah, on a scale.
See, you're shaking your head at him, though, right? You're not
No.
shaking your head at me.
On a
I didn't say it.
On a scale of
It was
one.
a general. Wow, where did we take this turn?
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much are you regretting your decisions at this
Right
point?
now,
Like,
it just jumped.
she's all 12. Yes, you're at 12. They're going to reach out to the media company that connected us, and she's going to be like, "Don't you ever
dare you.
Lose
talk
my
to
number.
lose my number."
Yeah, she didn't tell me my number.
No, but seriously, like we definitely want to help because this sounds like a really like something that would be really right up the alley of all of our listeners that are into this lifestyle for so many of the reasons you just talked about. Watching some of these old race trucks that went on Baja that sparked something in us, and that we we look at the old Land Rover with the pop-up tent, and again that's the genesis of overlanding, and I feel like everybody that listens to this show would get something out of that exhibit. And we'll do whatever we can to help drive people there once it's ready to go.
Awesome. Well, I'd love to show you guys around the exhibit. So you're all welcome, and I'll give you the tour, and you can poke around.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do we get to drive any of them?
Hey, dude. Let's just get to the
No,
museum first.
although I hear we have a Frontier that may be up for a spin.
Oh, wow.
Autumn is my new favorite person. This is the best. We're gonna show up in the Frontier.
Geez.
We're gonna show up in the Frontier, and Matt's gonna pull up to the front door, and he's like, Autumn said this is going in there. That's where this is gonna be.
It's cool because I had my kids clean it out, so it's good. It's ready to be shown.
Mr. Deedley, I should be on the list. I'm on the
Where's
list.
the turntable I'm supposed to park on? I was told there's a turntable around here.
Oh, DJ Frontier. Nope, not happening. Well, Autumn, look, this has been a great conversation. You're a lot of fun, and two things: open invitation to go off roading anytime you want to go. Let us know. We will take you. You will probably regret it, but we'll take you anyways.
Like this interview.
Just like the interview. And then when the exhibit does get ready to open, we'll be keeping an eye on it. But do please reach out and let us know so that we can help promote it and try to drive some traffic there, because I want to go see it. This is going to be the first thing I'm going to go see at the Peterson Museum.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'd love to have you. Thanks so much.
No, thank you for coming on the show. Anything else before we go?
Nope. Just stay tuned. I'll let you know when we're ready to open, and we hope to see as many of the off-road community as possible.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You have a great night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, are you looking to upgrade your PC, whether it be for gaming or for video production or whatever your needs are? Go to evga.com and check out their products. They make top-of-the-line graphics cards, power supplies, gaming keyboards, audio cards, cooling systems, accessories, cases, motherboards, you name it, they've got what you need to build a PC. They've stepped up and helped us build a really solid machine for the streaming that we've been doing on YouTube. And if it wasn't for these guys, we'd still be fumbling around trying to figure it out. Please support them. Go to evga.com. At checkout, use the code Trailchasers, and you can get up to 10% off anything you purchase. So go to evga.com, use the checkout code Trailchasers to get a discount. Thanks, EVGA.
You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
The Trailchasers podcast is a member of the 4x4 Radio Network. If you want more off-road shenanigans in your ear holes, go to 4x4radionetwork.com to hear episodes of the Jeep Talk Show, the 4x4 podcast, the Center Steer podcast, and On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. Okay, hey everybody. So that was a great conversation.
Hey, did
with Autumn.
did we just edit that?
We just edited that. It may or may not find itself at the end. The Autumn was a lot of fun. Really good conversation. I am legitimately looking forward to that museum exhibit when it opens up. As you can see, we're all three of us are back in the studio again. Jose, are you still glowing orange and green, or like what's the deal here?
Nah, the green part was just that was always pre-COVID. But
Okay.
no, I'm good now.
Well, as good as possible.
Yeah, as good as it's gonna get, I guess.
The listeners want to know, man, how bad was it?
I don't know. This is my experience with COVID, and I had really bad body aches, mainly just my legs, which is weird, for the first 2 days, and just felt crappy and tired. And then that's about it. Like,
Are you sure Letty wasn't just punching your legs at night?
I don't
while
know,
you were
dude.
sleeping?
Like that movie Misery with the sledgehammer.
Yes.
Oh, exactly like that.
It felt like that, dude. Just my legs hurt so bad, dude.
Oh my God,
Like
wow.
my bones, the bones, like they were hurting. It was the weirdest thing.
Did you have the respiratory problems?
No, none of us had that. My kid just had a bad cough, and then Letty, she was throwing up,
Ooh.
and then she just felt like crap. But toward the tail end, I did lose my sense of smell and taste, and I'm like 20% back.
Wow.
Damn.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
I lost like 15 pounds.
I need some of that COVID.
But I think I gained it all back,
Dude, I don't even. Dude, I lost 5 pounds before I started my job. I guarantee I've put on 15 pounds since I started my job.
Yeah.
Between the the stress eating and the holidays, and this is ridiculous.
I didn't really eat that whole time, dude.
Hollandaise sauce?
Yes, the hollandaise. That was horrible, Matt. That was a bad dad joke.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just, I just threw it out there.
Yes. So glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Glad you're not dead. I mean, it would have sucked to have to go out and find somebody else to backfill you.
There's luckily we're
New
lucky
Jose.
enough to where there's 4 or 5 guys on deck that we have, and they're on the stream right now. That would
Who would we?
gladly,
Let's talk about that.
take over.
If you,
I can name 3 people.
Arizona,
Yeah.
Florida,
Yeah, I mean-
San Diego. None of them live around here. though.
yeah, exactly. So if you were to kick the bucket, who would we bring in?
Well, since they're close, Elam.
Yeah, he would be on. But Elam's always busy. He can't.
Yeah,
He
true.
can't do. He's like.
He just works.
Yeah, he just
The poor
works
guy, he just
and
works.
has.
The first 3 that come to mind that are close, not excluding your brother. I mean, he's obviously the first one, but it would be. I think for me, it would be Elam, Adam, and Mark.
yeah, because they're local for sure.
Rob is a couple hours away.
Rob's too
if he
far
wants to
away.
if he wants to drive up.
Yeah, Mud Raider's too far away.
Yeah.
Tim's too far away. I mean, if they want to relocate for the show,
Exactly.
that's great. We have a relocation program.
Yeah, it's called sleeping on the other side of the house
It
over here.
consists of
there's a
exactly
RV on the side right here.
It consists of exactly $0 and us not helping it anyway. That's our relocation program. I think
Who would be part of our Voltron? You know, like. Sorry, I had a flashback to campfire talk a couple
Yes.
weeks ago.
so don't kick the bucket so that we don't have to go
I'm not
through that
planning
process.
on it anytime soon.
Well, good. We talked quite a bit about the winter expedition, which obviously you missed. It's unfortunate, but we have had some conversation about hammers.
Yes.
And I think the last conversation was not really putting together an event, just picking a location and saying we're going to be,
we'll be
at this
there.
location. So we need to pick that location. I don't know how and when to do that.
I'm working on it. I'm researching.
Okay, Jose, good, because Jose's working on that, and Jose committed the winner of the Kevin Jones follower giveaway. I have the swag bag all boxed up, but didn't get to mail it out today. So Jose's going to do that for
I'll
tomorrow.
get that mailed out tomorrow.
Mud Raider says the voice of reason cannot die. Is that what you are? Are you the voice of reason?
I didn't think so.
No.
I thought it was the.
I thought you were the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Well, Encyclopedia of
I'm
Nonsense.
just, I know facts of nothing.
Yeah,
Like, exactly nonsense. Like,
The Encyclopedia of Nonsense,
Yes.
right? That would be you. I'm the killer of fun. I'm the fun
yeah,
police.
the fun police.
And what's
You're
Matt?
Buzz Killington. Is
Yeah.
you are Buzz Killington.
You are Buzz. You're that. Yeah, exactly.
And what's Matt? Matt is
He's
Captain Good Times.
yeah. I would say he's the party.
Can I be Captain Good Times?
good.
He's Will Ferrell in old school.
Oh,
Colonel Good Times.
Captain.
What's higher, Captain or Colonel?
I don't know.
Colonel.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Maybe I'm Captain Good Times trying to earn that promotion.
yeah, you want to have a little chip on your shoulder, you know?
Okay, I agree. All right.
Captain Good Times, Encyclopedia of Nonsense, and the Buzzington.
Buzz Killington.
Kill Buzzington.
That's us.
Either or.
So let's talk about your spare tire carrier. I haven't gone out to look at it yet because it's raining
yeah.
and I don't want to get wet. But how's it been since you got it on?
It's cool. Like it's one of those things that you can't really appreciate it because unless you go on a trip because it's just back there. Like the spare tire. I see the spare tire now. It's like cool. I have a spare tire with me now. But it's one of those things that it's like you when you do it, you appreciate it when you go on those trips. And I can't wait to go on a trip.
Yeah, yeah. Because now, like we talked about, all of the space that was being taken up in the back of the truck is now
a 35-inch wheel or a tire, and then the 2 fuel cans. Like that's already, a third, 2/3 of the space back there with the seats folded, without the seats folded up.
Yeah,
but yeah, stuff's out of the way, and it's secure location outside. So.
Cool. So is that the that's when we're breaking it in is hammers?
No, hopefully weren't we going to talk about scouting trip before?
We were talking about a scouting trip. I don't know if that was an off-air.
It was an off-air. It was an off-air conversation. Thank you, Jose.
Way to go, Jose.
I didn't say when we were going to do it.
You ruined the last episode, and you're well on your way to ruining this episode.
Well, it's a welcome back.
Welcome back. All we need is one thing.
Yeah, we had talked about finding a day between now and Hammers to go out and look at.
I didn't say when we're planning on going.
Okay. I was waiting for the one thing to ruin the episode. I thought I was dropping a...
Nope.
Yeah, he's got the pen in his hand.
You guys suck.
It's better when you make him wait for you. Like,
well,
he's
that's
like
what
the whole
saying.
episode.
I created that tension now.
Yeah, well now
and
he's like, when the f*** is he going to drop that?
Oh man!
Yay! High five. Good to have you back, Jose.
Well, it's like he wasn't even missing because Kevin filled in and dropped the F-bomb.
Thank you, Kevin.
He sent me the text message. He's like, "That's so awesome that Kevin dropped the F-bomb for me."
It's great.
So Kevin, thank you, Kevin, for that.
He did it with style too.
He
He's
did
like,
too.
Oh, he
Like he
did.
snuck it in.
Yeah, that's the funniest part. It's like,
Yeah, he snuck.
Snug it right in there. Sit.
and drop that F bomb.
Exactly.
So yeah, pre-run. If we could figure out how and when to do it, like a day, just a day run, but we'd have to have some spots scouted out first. Spots.
Okay.
Some locations scouted out first, and say, okay, these are the top 3.
These are our points of interest. Let's go check them out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and the other thing is, man,
I'm telling you that ridge that we went up. The one time we were talking.
Yeah, the one that took you like 3 or 4 times to get up. That one.
That was
no.
right?
I'm talking about post since I've had my since my truck the way it exists now.
Oh, you're talking about when we did the Johnson Valley cleanup.
Yes.
Yeah.
That ridge line. I mean, it'd be cool to camp that place too, but I don't think it's viable as a camp spot.
Yeah.
Up on top of that.
No. I was
hill.
just thinking because up on top of that rocky hill we all
It's
went
a cool
up.
vantage point to watch racing.
So but from there, like there was that whole valley around it.
Yes.
So it might be that might be a good option. The other thing is like, man, I just don't know what it's going to look like in we're only talking about 3 weeks, man. Well,
it's
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Yeah, dude, I don't even.
What is time? Like I don't even know, dude.
I'm
With
just saying,
COVID, everything's like screw. How old am I? What day is today? Is the sun out? Like I'm just really confused these days.
My thing is just is this still gonna happen? Like the race?
that's what I'm saying. Is it really going to happen? Is the race really going to happen? And how? How are they going to have 100,000 people descend on Johnson Valley.
Snipers. Just shooting vaccine right into you from like the mountaintops.
That's inefficient, dude. They're gonna have smoke bombs. The vaccine.
They'll drop it like one of those
as you come in,
fire retardants. No. They'll drop one of those firebirds that drops the
you'll just breathe it in.
Yeah. So they'll just drop aerosol. They'll drop the powder.
Aerosol. Yeah.
They'll drop a powder over Hammertown. It'll be white powder. I guarantee it'll all be sniffed up.
Not 1 ounce will touch the ground, dude.
Before it hits the ground.
Sure, it's white. Any other color, people are gonna be like, "What the hell is this?"
If they were to drop white powder over Hammertown,
not 1 ounce will fucking touch the ground.
Oh, come on again.
Sorry, dude.
But what does that say of our opinion of Hammertown? That's pretty bad. That sounds horrible. That was Jose and Cody at Trailchasers. It was not that.
So we just need to see if that's actually going to happen, and if it is going to happen, do we want to be anywhere near it? That's the other piece of it is well, and we talked about that. Even if we were to camp out there for that weekend,
we're not going to
Hammertown. Even if it's happening, we're not going into Hammertown. We're just going to be in the general vicinity out there as an excuse to go wheeling, and camp for a couple days. And then after that, after December, after January, we don't have anything planned until Memorial Day, right?
That's in May.
Usually last weekend in May.
Okay.
So,
that feels about right to me.
What do you mean? You mean time as far as
the time frame? We just did the winter expedition. We're gonna do, whether Hammers happens or not. It sounds like we're probably just gonna do a weekend thing for that week, just to see what happens.
Yeah, in that
potentially
roughly in that time frame.
Pretty quick, wham bam, and then all right, I can only go to so many things and do so much of what I do.
Yeah,
so often. Give me a couple of months to get to make it to May.
We talked about quarterly. We talked about kind of having roughly a quarterly plan.
Well, just the fourth quarter trip it coincides with Hammers. That's why it seems like the end of the year is like super filled.
Yeah, Hammers happens right after the fourth quarter. The winter expedition. But it's going to be Hammers or something. Mojave. The summer expedition, winter expedition, and the Kessel Run are like 5 things. So roughly every quarter. And the Kessel Run, we have to decide if we're going to do that annually. If is it fun enough to go do annually, or do we just do?
I think we should do it one year where we're all there.
Yeah,
and then
how about you guys go, and then you'll have an opinion on it. Because I thought it was great.
Screw you. Screw you.
And then if after we all attend and it's still not a hit, then maybe we can talk about 86 in it.
So it sounds like
so what
Kessel
you're
Run
saying is you guys go to Kessel Run, then it sucks, and now you don't want to do it.
That'll be it's our fault. The Kessel Run sucks.
Look, we don't even know what kind of a cast I'm going to be in at that point.
That's true.
So funny story. My mom
could be in a hip.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
My mom said that over Christmas, because we didn't go up to see my parents in Big Bear. It was just we decided not to chance it.
You guys went to my house. It's crazy,
which is even a worse idea.
Yeah.
But she said that they had gone through a couple of old home movies, and she said, what's funny is you were in a cast every other year, and I started thinking about it. Broken ankle at 12, knee surgery at 13, hand surgery at 16. And the knee surgery and the hand surgery was both at Christmas time. Like I'm like, it's kind of like been my thing. But then from my from end of high school through most of my 30s, I had a pretty good run there.
So should we just start calling you Mr. Glass?
Yeah, I thought about that. I'm kind of Mr. Glass. I really am.
But without his superpower.
How about that video I sent you guys? And that's that dude trying to do a wheelie on a bike in front of his kid, and he not only did he fall and wallop on his back, but the bike somehow shot into his crotch, and then the kid was like, "Dad."
Yeah, Matt sends this video.
Hey man, it's I'm a little traumatized.
I said
PTSD.
Yeah.
That's exactly how it went, dude.
I thought,
No.
I was looking like, is that him? Was that like neighbors?
No,
camera?
because in my scenario, I actually got up into a wheelie and got to pedal a handful of times, like 2-3 times, and then fell sideways. Like the bike didn't shoot out from underneath me.
Oh, you went like...
Yes, I fell sideways onto my shoulder. I would have much rather fallen straight back onto my back. Then I just had a concussion and maybe a broken skull. Probably way easier to deal with than a shoulder.
Nads would have been smashed. The way.
Look,
who cares? All right.
Who's using those at this point? Like,
You know what? Tammy probably had them anyhow.
yeah,
in her purse, so.
I didn't have
They
them
would
that
have been
day.
fine. They were around her, on her ears.
Yeah. I look at that point. It's not. No one cares. So I mean, I guess the plan is at this point to see what Hammers looks like and then go from there. I mean, Mojave's still an opportunity, which we are planning on doing. We'll just have to scope out what that looks like. Well, I liked what we did last year where we didn't go to the hotel in Laughlin. We just went out to Laughlin, jumped right on the trail and camped 2 nights versus camping 1 night. So I think we do that again for Mojave.
I wanted to go from west to east.
I know, because you want to go gamble for
on.
a
Yeah.
night. Yeah.
No, it's called the poker room. I want to hit the
Yeah,
poker
that's
room.
what I'm saying.
Okay.
I
I just said what I wanted to do.
I know. I don't think May is going to be enough time for Laughlin to disinfect itself.
No, it's like Jose said. The last thing you're going to worry about in Laughlin is getting COVID.
Yeah, dude.
It's right. Skeebies. Like, some other stuff that's like even worse, like double skeevies.
Yeah, you might get some leakage on the way back.
From where?
Nope.
That's the thing.
Nope.
That's the thing.
Nope.
You don't know.
Nope.
You don't know.
Buzz Killington is coming in, stepping in
Yeah,
right
but they have
here.
a shot for you. You'll be all right.
Stepping in right here, Buzz
Does
Killington.
it come with a COVID shot?
I think by that point it's going to be like a cocktail of
Cocktails.
In Laughlin, they're walking around.
Syringes.
The cocktail waitress has got a cocktail. Damn it. So
That's good stuff.
now that we don't have any credibility left, we've
You got to have it to
I
lose
guess.
it, right?
that's true.
I guess we don't really have anything planned between now and then. I'm sure there might be some day runs here and there,
Yeah.
but
Hopefully.
you know, I think after this weekend, I mean, we got a long weekend this weekend. After that, it's going to be back to the grind for a while at least.
Now who's being Debbie Downer? Why
Yeah,
you got to
dude.
like stomp on my soul?
You're going to just
And
ruin the
start
first
Yeah.
4 or 5 months of 21 for me.
Speaking of Soul, you guys watched part of Soul.
Oh, what are we doing now?
It was a good movie.
Do you want to start crying?
I did cry in that
Oh,
movie.
my
At the
God.
end, I did.
Well, I saw like the last third of it or whatever. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of I don't know what the movie's about.
It's like a-
So
I
Soul,
saw a lot of cartoons.
Soul on Disney
figures.
Plus is a great movie. Go where? Mud Raider says Buzz Killington to nowhere and beyond.
Nowhere and then some.
That's my motto.
That was this Christmas holiday, and I've spoken to a lot of people like on the phone and stuff today, like coworkers and whatever. And hey, how was your holiday? We just sat around with the family, stayed at home, watched a bunch of movies. Yeah, I think that's what everybody did.
Yeah.
Like that was like a popular thing. It's just make sure you clear out your Netflix list or whatever and watch that horrible Wonder Woman movie.
Oh, I want to watch it now just because everybody has said it was so bad.
It's just stupid.
Really? You
Yeah.
like
Did you watch it,
it?
Jose?
Yeah, I saw it a couple days ago.
And you liked it.
I didn't think it was bad. Like I was surprised that it's getting as much bad press as it's getting.
It's just dumb.
So that's why I want to watch it now, because now that the expectations have been set so
Yeah.
low, I will probably enjoy it.
It was entertaining. Like it wasn't like I didn't think.
It was Gal Gadot in
Yeah,
a Wonder Woman
exactly.
costume. I mean,
Gal Gadot jumping around. Come on,
there's a certain number of stars you're going to get just off the bat.
that's
Yeah,
that's
see,
right.
Adam's like it wasn't that bad. Yeah, it was fine. It was one of those movies that you just watch with. You just
Well, I think that the problem was
What
the
about-
first one was so
It was great.
good.
it was really good.
This
yeah.
second one, I can't discuss the details why I thought it was dumb because there's a lot you haven't seen it. I don't know, blow it, I guess, but the premise was like, that's how they brought, because what Steve's back, or the dude from the first movie. And it's like, oh,
yeah, that I was just like, really?
On.
Yeah.
That's how they brought him back?
The Mandalorian's in it.
Hold on. Mud Raider.
The Mandalorian is in it, and he should have had the Mandalorian mask. It would have been, and then it would have been cool.
Hey, Mud Raider, you have your, you have it right. Marvel is greater than DC for
all
sure.
Day, every day,
for sure. Which is just ridiculous.
Sorry, Adam, you're incorrect. Man of Steel was like okay, but it's not over anything. That Man of Steel is like not even mid-pack Marvel movie.
No, Adam, can you log off of YouTube at this point?
Yeah, I think Adam, lose my number, dude. I don't
think we need your bad juju. Your man. Look, if that's your judgment, I'm scared at you watching this show.
Yeah. Now I don't feel good.
Now I feel like our show is a piece of shit because you like that Man of Steel movie.
You guys were mid-pack, dude. That's all.
So apparently we're decent enough to watch, but no one's really talking about it because it's not that good.
But that Henry Cavill's pretty hot.
He's a sexy man pajama. I don't deny that. I mean, I know my sister would trade you in for him in a heartbeat.
I would trade me in for him.
The way she speaks about Henry Cavill is like.
That was in their episode.
Yes.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, she likes Henry Cavill. You understand why she ended up with Matt. I mean,
there's a striking resemblance.
Striking. Do you know how
his nickname is Man of Steel?
It's more like tin or aluminum. Some sort of malleable
something.
Man of aluminum can.
Can I just say something of steel before you guys cut me off? And do you know how many capes I have? I'm tired of wearing these capes to bed. It's embarrassing.
Oh, damn.
When Henry Cavill grew out that mustache for the Mission Impossible movie, did you have to cut your beard off and just wear the mustache?
No. What movie?
That Mission. So when they were filming the Justice League, remember?
Yeah.
He was filming that mission,
and they had to digitally remove or something.
Yeah, it came out horrible, but it was for that Mission Impossible.
Yeah, look, that's the least shitty thing about that movie. Like that's it. That's what everybody's going to complain about. The shitty CGI to get rid of his mustache. How about let's get some real stories or
Justice League? That movie was shit. It was all right. It was another okay, whatever.
It's Cody's sister blind. Look, I can't vouch for her vision. I'm just gonna say I don't know what to say. I got that's Mud Raider.
Yeah, she's just got low standards, dude. That's it.
Yeah, low standards.
So now that the Trailchaser movie section is over, anything else? I mean, anything? Everybody have any good off-road stuff for Christmas? Anybody get anything off-road related?
I got a impact gun.
Oh, no kidding! What kind?
DeWalt.
No kidding.
Yeah. I was excited about that.
I could have used that a couple days ago. So I told you guys I was driving one of the trucks for work.
Oh, your work truck? Yeah.
So
you tell me about this.
So So one of our guys retired, and he had like the nicest truck in the fleet, and it was like this guy was OCD about keeping it clean, and I was like, "Hey, dude, give me the keys. I'm going to drive that one instead." And they're like, "It's a service body." I'm like, "What? You think I can't drive a service body? Give me the keys." So I go out there. It's an F-350 service body with a ladder rack, super like clean. And I was driving it around for a couple of days, and I had to drive out for a doctor's appointment out in Anaheim or Fullerton. So I'm driving it, and I'm thinking to myself, "Man, this feels really good. Like this big, full size. It's comfortable. It's stable." And I get all the way out to the doctor's office. I back into the parking spot. I get out of the truck, and I hear like someone is airing down a tire.
There's a homeless dude taking a leak on one of the tires.
It sounded like when we're all lined up and airing down. And I went, "This is not good." And I go around to the other side, and I start feeling around. And right on the edge of the tread, on the inside, I don't know what I caught, but it tore the tire, the tread, and it was billowing out. And like I was like, within a minute, it was flat. So it must have happened as I pulled in the parking lot. So I went this whole thing through the fleet services, and I'm like, "Okay, can you dispatch someone to change the tire? What's the time going to be?" Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm going into this doctor's appointment. I'll be there for 20 minutes or so.
Yep.
If they show up 30 minutes later, they're going to have an impact. They're going to have a floor jack. It's all part of our included services. I might as well just have somebody do it. I go into my doctor's appointment. I come out. Then I get a text that says so-and-so's been dispatched in about 50 minutes.
Oh,
and I'm
damn,
like,
dude.
no, it is the Wednesday before Christmas. I am not going to sit in Orange County for another hour. I just said cancel it. And I had to change the tire on this F-350 with the stock.
With the
stock provided. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I wish I had an impact and a floor jack and all that stuff.
I wish I had an impact on things too, but sometimes you just got to go through life, and you can only influence as much as you can. So
I want to get. We should have an impact. Well, you've got one, and Casey has one.
Yeah.
But I
have an impact, but it's just a little small one. You know,
No, the
shooting screws and stuff.
Yeah, no, I have one of those too. I'm talking about the impact for your lug wrenches.
Yes. Well, I know. Yes. I got Sawzalls. I brought a Sawzall, as you guys obviously remember, the Winter Expedition. And I also had a grinder with a cutting wheel. I could have cut some steel if I wanted to. So I got tools. Way to go, Jose. Welcome to the Tool Club.
I've procured a pretty cool set of tools by now.
You have. Well, I mean, as much work as you do on that Land Rover, I would expect that you'd have all of the tools. If there's some random tool you need to change the door handle, you probably have it.
Nah, I stepped up my tool game when I had to fix the floor at my house, my old house.
Oh yeah.
And did all that stuff, all the carpentry.
Yeah. Did you use that as an excuse, honey?
Yeah,
it could save us a lot of money if I do it myself, but I'm gonna need to spend some money on
that's
tools.
when I procured a lot of my tools in that little event.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, so if anybody gets a flat tire, go to Jose and have Jose use his impact to get it done. All right, man. Well, that's about it. I am tired. I am tired and ready to call it. So, anything else, you guys, before we cut out? All right.
Glad
Thanks.
to be back.
I was thinking. You didn't even give me a chance.
Glad to be back.
We are glad to have you.
Welcome back, Jose.
We're glad to have you, and for all of you in the chat room that are there
thank you for your antibodies.
Yes, thank you for joining us in the chat room, everybody. I appreciate it. We will talk to you next week.
I'm Presley, and thank you for listening. Thank you to Next Entire. Thank you to Icon. If you want to be on the show, call 951-394-DOPE. Thank you to Ryan Torino with all of the music.
Do we need a break? Or are we ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Let's roll.
3, 2, 1. All right. So as you guys can see, we have the COVID antibodies in the house.
Are we supposed to make out with Jose now to get those antibodies?
So
how do I get some of those antibodies?
I think we need.
How do I get some of those antibodies in me?
I got to go straight to the source.
I hear there's a lot of protein in there. It's good for your nails.
Oh man!
You guys want to beat this thing or not?
What do I got to beat?
No. I think we need to start over. We need to start. Hold on.
Beat fire with fire, all right?
Hold on. Okay, stop. All right. 3, 2, 1.